What's up, guys? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to PXA Peeks at Inversus. So this game is basically what would happen if you took Geometry Wars and crossed it with Othello or Reversi, the weird black and white sort of reversal board game. This comes to us from a single-person team out of Seattle called Hypersect. And this is available on both the PC and the PlayStation 4. I'm playing the PC version, but the PS4 version, as best as I can tell, is functionally identical. And this is a game with a very simple concept, but that gets devilishly difficult and rather strategic in a pretty cool way. So it has an arcade mode and also a versus mode that can be played online or with friends. So fortunately, this game on PC has a pretty small online community right now, and it's kind of hard to find a game, but it has a really neat feature where you can try to matchmake with people, and while it does that, you can play the arcade mode. So I'm going to play the arcade mode while I hopefully find somebody to play with here. I have found some online games, but it's been a little difficult, and it's taken a while sometimes. So I'm going to show you what the basic idea of this game is. So, you have several different maps in the arcade mode that you can play. You have to unlock most of them. I have unlocked them all. I've been playing long enough to do that. And basically what it is this is a game that is played with directional buttons and the 4 face buttons on a controller. You can play this with a keyboard too just fine if you want, but I'm playing with a controller as I usually do. And the idea here is that you are this block in the center, and while the arcade mode is a score attack, pretty much pure and simple. Your goal is to take out the enemy cubes and try to keep the board as well as white as possible, because the enemies will turn the blocks black and you cannot traverse black blocks. So you want to try to both take the enemies out and clear the board. So enemy explosions will clear the black blocks around them, or you can just shoot blocks as well and also clear them out. You start with a limited amount of ammo that does recharge over time, and you can also pick up these red bullets from the enemies, which basically have the ability to cut through blocks and the like at a sort of greater pace. But you also want to try to let some of your own bullets recharge as well if you can when you get in that situation. So the way this works is you tap any of the 4 face buttons to fire either up, down, left, or right. You can't shoot at angles. And you can either tap the button to fire once, or you can press and hold the button down and build up a charge shot that shoots out 3 rows if you want. And the charge shot obviously has the potential to do more damage with less ammo expenditure, but because it takes a while to charge, you've got to be careful. So there's multiple types of enemies, not unlike something like Geometry Wars, though they don't necessarily have quite the same property differentials as they do in that game. So the red guys will just come towards you and start turning the area around them black, as you can see, whereas the white blocks are basically AI-controlled enemies that will shoot at you. They come in smaller quantities, and they're not nearly as they don't swarm you necessarily, but when those come in quantity on the map, they can really screw with you too. And your objective is to try to keep the board clear and also get as high a score as you can. So if as you've been seeing here, if you blow up an enemy that's close to another enemy, you'll detonate that enemy, and that creates a chain. So creating chains results in bigger scores, and there's also a multiplier mechanic. So over time, when you destroy a certain number of enemies, the multiplier will increase. If you die, the multiplier resets to 0. You obviously want to get that multiplier and the chains up as high as you can, because that is how you get yourself the biggest scores. This game does have full online leaderboards that work quite well, so you want to, in this mode, you definitely want to try to maximize your score as best you can. And like I said, the concept is very simple. Like, you're kind of looking at the meat of it here. There is a little bit more to it in the sense that when you're playing both versus games and dealing with the white blocks that shoot at you, you can do things like you can shoot towards an incoming shot to basically disrupt it. And if you can hit an incoming shot just before it hits you, you can actually parry and fling it back towards the enemy, which is very, very handy, very hard to pull off, but very, very satisfying and rewarding if you can do it. And that comes into play much more in the versus mode, which I will try to show you hereafter. But this is the main thing in the arcade mode, is your goal is just to survive as long as you can and get as high a score as you can. And the reason I made a lot of comparisons to Geometry Wars is because that was really the point of that game too, was just to stay alive as long as you can, and games usually didn't last very long. I'm doing remarkably well here considering I'm recording. I'm slaughtering my high score in this level, which is pretty rad. But the average game doesn't last very long. It's designed to be played in either short sessions or a large number of games over a short period of time. You'll also get here, you'll get extra lives as well when you reach certain point thresholds. And but the one thing that this does not have that Geometry Wars did was a bomb mechanic. So, which was in Geometry Wars, there was a limited number of bombs you could use that would basically clear out the level for you on a temporary basis. You don't have anything like that here. When you do spawn in, it will clear out the area around where you spawn in to give you an opportunity to move around. And those actually do count towards your score. It doesn't penalize you score-wise. So you see, I did actually get score for clearing out those guys around me when I spawned in. So that's kind of handy. And yeah, you want to get as high a score as you can. And it's a very simple arcade game concept. This game really chose to focus on doing basically one thing really, really well. Which is something you don't see a lot these days. Some people may think that with the number of levels that are in it and the basic concepts of it, that this might be a little steep at $15, which is what it is. I could see that, but to me, I actually like it a fair bit. So I'll show you another map here. Some of these maps are absolutely crazy. Like this one here. Like, watch this. So this is Rhodes. Why are there 3 of me? I don't know, but this level hurts my eyes. Oh my god. Like, it just... It's weird because you see there's multiple rows in this level, and everything is the same. It's basically duplicating. So it's not like you have to watch 3 players at once, but your brain is naturally inclined to try to observe all the blocks simultaneously. And it's just, this level is a total brain mush. It's crazy. But it's really interesting and creates its own unique element of challenge. Now, you may see here that the color palette changed, so there actually is a mild progression system in Inversus where you can unlock emotes to use in multiplayer, and you can unlock different color palettes. There's actually quite a few of them. I've only unlocked a few at this point, even though I've been playing for a couple of hours. And you can turn the color palettes on and off, and it will randomly choose between the ones that you have enabled, which is kind of nice. So you don't have to always select a different one when you want. Some of them change up the background colors, some of them just change up the colors of the ammo and the enemies. It's nice, gives you a little bit of visual flair, makes no gameplay difference whatsoever. So that's an interesting one there. So this is one here. Free is probably my most favorite map, and you're going to think that's kind of lame because, well, there's nothing here, but I'm going to show you why I like this one so much. I like this one because there's no obstacles. You can clear the entire level. It takes up the whole screen, and it goes to Bedlam Cuckoo right out the gate, which is what I love. Within just a few seconds of playing this level, you can start racking up some redonkulous combos. Kind of like that. And I just think that's kind of cool. What can I say? I am sometimes about the instant gratification. But, don't let the simplicity of this level fool you. What's nice about this is that even though the maps are fairly limited, each one is very differently designed at a fundamental level, and they all require their own strategies. You actually have to learn each map and learn the best way to play if you want to maximize your score on each, which I think is really neat. You will have to actually really dig in and learn if you want to maximize your play on this. So again, like, it's very rare these days to find a game that has such a simple idea but that can end up being so complex. Usually you either see games that are very, very simple and as a result are pretty shallow and don't have much to offer, or so here's Globe. This is a very small map. Or you see games that have extremely complicated mechanics that take forever to explain and can be so deep that if you're willing to put in the effort, they can be rewarding, but they can also be incredibly frustrating along the way, especially when you feel like you don't understand what's happening. This does a very good balance. It's very simple. The tutorial only takes even if you do all the advanced tutorials, it only takes like probably less than 5 minutes to go through them all. And so the concept is so simple that you could sit down and teach anyone this in a couple of minutes, but it can get devilishly deep and complicated if you really want to go for those proper high scores, which you're gonna have to in this game. You're gonna really have to dig in if you want the best scores in this. And I really like that. I really like how simple it is, but how incredibly difficult it can be to master, and how it really does reward putting in the time. I like that. But this is the core arcade mode. This is the mode that I would probably spend the most amount of time in. I was really hoping a multiplayer match would come in, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But the Versus mode is stripped down. The Versus mode is just you and one other person against each other. And it's best of... I think it's first... Well, it's not best of 3, it's first to 3. So you get a point for taking out your opponent, and... the first to 3 is the winner. The online mode works very well. There's very little lag. I found it to be fairly responsive. Yeah, it hasn't found anybody yet, which is kind of unfortunate. But I'll see if I can show you the idea here. So the cool thing is you can play online. You can play in teams as well. Though finding a team game is going to be even harder, obviously. You can play online with friends if you have friends who buy this. This game does have a discounted 4-pack on Steam if you want. You can also play 2-player arcade mode, which is pretty cool. I have not tried that yet, but I imagine that would be pretty fun. And yeah, there's a versus mode as well. So I'll just show you what this looks like here. So the idea is pretty simple. It's obviously there's nobody playing that person. And you see that little heart thing that came up? So those are the emotes. So you can unlock those. So basically, by pressing the triggers and bumpers, you can trigger up to 1 of 4 different emotes. And you can choose what those are. I think that's kind of cute. So what you can do is you can go to Customize here. So you can assign the emotes that you have available. So these are the ones I have unlocked right now. Again, there's quite a few available here. As you can see. So yeah, there's quite a large number that you can get, and here are the color palettes. So you see I've only unlocked 4 of them so far. I turned this one off because this one's kind of gross, but there's a lot available in here. It would require, I suspect, quite a number of hours in order to unlock everything that's available to you here. So you're gonna have to dig in for that. And there are levels in multiplayer as well. It does reward things like first win of the day and things like that. It really bums me out that there isn't more of an online community for this, because when I have gotten online matches, I've actually played for a good while against people and had a really good time. It's actually been a pretty fun experience. And yeah, if you have people that you could sit and play this with locally, especially on the PS4, which is more likely to be hooked up to your TV, you could play this for a good while, I think. I was saying earlier, I might try to introduce my girlfriend to this, because you know, she has a fairly limited palette of games that she likes, and she likes stuff that we can play together. And this is a little different than some of the other stuff we've been playing. I think she might find this fun, especially with the competitive element to it, and because it's so easy to pick up and learn. You know, I could show her this in under 5 minutes and she would totally understand it, which is a really cool idea. This is something that, you know, non-gamers and gamers alike, I think would find a lot of cool potential in. And yeah, it's a really nice, slick production. It's got this sort of little minimalist presentation. It's made by a single-person developer, as I said. The music is made by a different person. The music is made by a German electronic musician. I forget his name now. I do apologize. It's in the menu. So here comes the enemies that are actually shooting at me. This is where things get interesting, and it will mix these up as you go. But yeah, it's very sort of clean electronic, I guess is the way to put it. You know, it's very it's got a nice beat to it, but it's not you know, it's not super dirty. It's not like dubstep or anything like that. It's just it's very nice, sort of clubby house music electronic stuff, which I like. I think that suits the game very, very well. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to the credits here and check that, because I'm gonna feel really bad if I don't give that person credit. So yeah, Ryan Jucket is the guy who made basically everything, but yes, Levo or Livo is the musician's name. And And you can actually buy the soundtrack for this directly from him too, which I think is pretty cool in its own way as well. But yeah, you've really got the idea here. I think some people are going to find this a little steep at $15. Me personally, I don't. I've been having a lot of fun with this. This is a game I definitely would like to show some people and play locally with some folks. We actually built a gaming PC at work recently, and a bunch of us Steam family shared our accounts to it so we can have a pile of games. I could definitely see myself having some fun with some coworkers with this game over lunch or something. I could see this getting very competitive in our office for sure. Either everybody competing for score chases or just trying to beat each other at the versus mode. And like I said, it's something you can sit down and show anybody in just a couple of minutes and have a good time with. And I think there's a lot of value in that. And I find it interesting, too, that Inversus actually came out of a game jam originally. This was a concept that the developer was putting together in a game jam, and it ended up going in a different direction. But he really loved the idea and went, yeah, I think I'm going to make something out of this. And that's kind of what I think is really cool about game jams, is the fact that some of the games that come out of game jams are kind of okay, but a lot of the time just participating in them can inspire a lot of developers to make something cool of their own, and it inspires, you know, bigger, more fleshed out projects, I guess. And it's really cool because, you know, maybe if that game jam didn't happen, we might not have got this. And I think it's pretty cool. So, but you've seen the idea here. I think this is really good, and I think you know, whether you're on the PlayStation 4 or the PC, this is a great experience. I personally think the arcade mode is worth it on its own. I'm probably going to play it a lot just for that. But if you are into the Versus stuff as well, I think you probably really enjoy that as well. I would just probably recommend that you have somebody to play it with locally, because sadly it seems like this game does not have much of a community online, which is a real bummer, because I think it's something pretty cool, and I do wish it had more of a population, because I would actually play this online regularly if I could expect a crowd to be there. But that's always the problems with the problem with indie games like this, right? Is no one wants to play online when there's no community, but if there's no community, you're not going to get large groups to play online. You know, building and sustaining a community, especially with an indie game, is an incredibly hard problem, and I'm not sure how you solve it, but I hope this one can definitely find its footing, and maybe it does have more a bigger following on the PS4, where the marketplace is not necessarily quite as saturated as Steam. So if you're into the online, maybe that would be a better place to check it out. As I understand, it is basically functionally the same to the PC version that I've got here. So. But yeah, that is Inversus, developed and published by Hypersect in 2016 on the PlayStation 4 and the PC. It is $15 US, or your regional equivalent. I think it's worth it for that, but if, you know, only one part of this game interests you, you may want to wait for a sale, but I'll leave that to you to decide. My name is Parallax Abstraction. Thank you all very much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That does help me out a great deal. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy, everybody. I got some scores to chase.